Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is of course the Piracy Show, and we're dealing with questions, comments from last week's ship updates. Now, first off is Cafio. That was the last ship they needed to change the MFDs for. The Gladius had a decent cockpit like no one ever complained. They should work on the Tally MFDs, the Connie, the fucking Freelancer, and all misc ships, to be honest. The Gladius had one of the best cockpits in the game. 100% agreed. 100% agreed. The old Gladius cockpit, one second. The old Gladius cockpit, there it is up on screen, was just a model of simplicity, and I mean, it really did look like when you got in it, and like we're going back now a couple of years that the Gladius has been flyable. It really looked like something that had been, sold, previously enjoyed by the UEE Navy and sold to players. And it really did look that way. It was one of those ships that I was very, very excited for. The weapon layout, of course, not the greatest, but the ship itself, the design language, all the little details on it were so great, and the cockpit layout was just magnificent. The view that you had out of the original Gladius was unbelievable, and to see it changed, I don't know, look, I'll be honest. I mean, I kind of get what's driving this, and it's the nostalgia factor, It's kind of, oh, we got to have all these because it's like the fighters in that other game or the other game before that, and we want to have all this stuff so people, oh yeah, that thing, and it, to have that kind of nostalgia thing to kind of hook people. But I think day in, day out, those MFDs will in the end just become more of, more just exhausting to look at than to just have all the stuff up in your helmet HUD. And I think most people are they're gonna like the nostalgia factor, but then they're gonna kind of go, yeah, but it's kind of a pain in the ass, and then I'm not really appreciating it. Once you're into the cycle of playing a ship for 5, 6, 7 hours a week, or let's be honest, much more than that, I think the people are gonna start to dislike it over time, and it's going to be something that kind of wears on people and grates them a little bit. So yeah, that was I think probably time that could have been better spent somewhere else. All right, next up, our graceful. Love the Reclaimer, dude, don't we all? MFDs look retro in a bad way. Yeah, that's kind of it. It's kind of going for that nostalgia feel. And kind of form over function. I think in the long term, I think that's how it's going to play out. And people are going to kind of say, "Oh, that was really cool in the beginning, but now it's more of an irritant than anything else." One of the things, though, like when we're talking about retro, one sec, let me get a clip up. Here's a clip from last week's ATV, and they're talking about doing the audio for the kiosk menus, when you're shopping around for stuff or doing transactions. I'm going to leave the audio in so you can kind of hear the menus, but this is the kind of retro that I really like. This is, when they kind of go retro, this is what I kind of really kind of clicked in and said, that is awesome.
User interfaces that will feature in 3.0, including the kiosks. The audio direction of these vary to suit their tech level, and this presents some great opportunities to reinforce their look and feel. Preparation has begun in earnest for
like those little kiosk shopping menus with the little success screen and all that. I like that. That was like something really cool. Now, if those menus ended up being a little bit cumbersome to engage with, I think that kind of nostalgia factor would wear off after a while, and you might be like, I wish these menus were easier to navigate, or you might say, oh, why can't I just do this through my Mobi Glass, because I just want to get things done. But that was really kind of cool. But once again, I think as you play over time and as you when you start moving into the hundreds, if not thousands of hours of gameplay, that kind of stuff can kind of start to grate on you a little bit. I mean, it kind of gives personality and life to the universe, but at the same time, people are probably going to be looking for ways to kind of shortcut around that in the long term, just because, it's like, okay, I've seen it. Yeah, it's cool, but, this is literally the 1,000th time I've navigated that menu, so can we just kind of get this moving along? All right, next up, Eliana Sigelski. Love it. I'm first. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, next is X-Hammy. Yeah, the Origin 600 is ready for concept sale because we really need another concept sale before 3.0 is out. By the way, the Origin 600 is not a fighter. It is a party boat, probably freelancer size. And are any usernames left added to that? X-Hammy, the next round of ships are non-combat focused ships, so at least it's not another fighter. So, I mean, that would be kind of cool if it was more of like it's still going to be armed. There's still going to be armaments on it, but if it was more of a personal craft, like here, like the 300i, or, any of its sub-variants. I mean, they have certain specialities, certain jobs, but to me, it feels like more of like a personal ship than, strictly speaking, a combat ship. In general, just the 300i. And the rest of them, like, they can be adapted to do this or do that, but I think obviously there'll be better ships in those fields. But I've always liked the 300i. I've liked the styling cues. The spoiler was never a big hit with me, but overall I do like the ship. And to see like possibly an updated, bigger version, more, once again, a generalist ship and not a ship that's focused in any one direction, would be kind of cool. I mean, the Origin lineup has always been a little bit thin, and it's weird that so many other manufacturers, we just keep cramming ships into them, but Origin is just like, it's the 390 and it's, the 300i and the M50, is that it for Origin? Are those the three ships, the 890 jump, the 300 and the M50? I think that's it, right? There's only 3 ships. So it's kind of hard to see how a manufacturer could survive on those 3 designs. You'd think that they would have a little bit more variety out there. Kind of feel like there's got to be another ship out there, but I can't think of it right now. All right, next up, H. Doug. How do I convert from shit tons to tons? Well, actually, interesting that you should ask that. It's the same as converting from miles to kilometers. You just times it by 1.6. All right, Barney Granero. Those MFDs on the Gladius are reminiscent of Wing Commander Privateer. True. It's interesting that the Constellation has flat augmented screens in front of the pilot, but the Gladius requires what look like CRTs, which are, for those of you who may not know, because we are starting to talk about the yesteryears now. That's cathode ray tube, the old big box monitors before everything turned flat, and TVs too. Must be a very old ship in lore terms. Yeah, it is. I thought the original Gladius cockpit was one of the best looking ones in the game. Agreed. It was the only thing the ship had left going for it. Well, see, like the weird thing is that like they keep kind of going back to these retro things, but like for those big like CRT screens and stuff like that, you have to remember that even though the Gladius has been in service for a long, long time, I mean, this thing was what, like 75 years, I think, or more, that this was in service with the... Oh, wait. Are any usernames left? Says, yeah, it's been in UE service for over a century with only modest upgrades. So, yeah, like the Gladius has been around for a long time, but still, even over a century, if you're talking about the year, what is it, 2947 is what it is in the Star Citizen universe right now, you're still talking 900 years in the future presently, and 800 years, give or take, in the future when the Gladius first came out. So obviously it's gonna be a lot more flash than it is right now. And a lot of this hinges on, and you know what, let me pull up a graphic. Here's the cockpit from the Centurion in Privateer from way back in the early 90s. You see how all this stuff is up and in your face and in your point of view, and that was a major trope of a lot of the games in that time. X-Wing did the same thing. The original Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe that was created by Lawrence Holland, that had the same thing. A lot of flight sim games were the same. And a lot of it was based on the idea that in order to immerse you, they had to kind of show you that you were in a cockpit. So what they presented was more or less like a false perspective of the cockpit. And it's something that they really kind of embraced. And of course, this looks kind of silly now, but back then, this cockpit was like, oh my God, it looks like a real spaceship. Oh my. But then when you realize realistically that this point of view would never exist in real life. Like, you would never see things like this in the real universe. And it's kind of one of those things that unfortunately kind of carried over into Star Citizen. And I've said it before, but if you want to know what I mean, just drive your car tomorrow when you're going to work or wherever. Just drive your car. And when you're looking straight down out at the horizon, when you're looking straight out at the road and you're looking, okay, is this light green? Is this light red? Blah, blah, blah. While your eyes are focused directly forward, read your odometer. You can't do it. Tell me exactly what speed you're at. Unless you have a little heads-up display on your windshield, you can't do it. What station is your radio on? You don't know. But in these cockpits in Star Citizen, you kind of see all these things because you're sitting in this kind of reclined, retracted, sort of bizarre position, so they can give you a view of all these buttons and switches, which is, it's something that you would see in your peripheral vision, but it's nothing that would be legible to you or usable to you unless you glanced down and looked at it. And that's kind of something that's been carried forward, unfortunately, into Star Citizen, is that false perspective. The idea that we have to show all these things so that you're there. Like, your imagination can't take over for it. Or that you can actually put the camera angle at a much more realistic position and then just say, if you want to look down, look down. If you want to look up, look up. And it's this kind of over-reliance on having all this shit crammed in front of your face to tell you you're in a spaceship when you already know you're in a spaceship, right? So, unfortunately, it's something that's been carried forward and probably here to stay. All right, next up, Ravenous Pathogen. They said that was the cockpit of the Gladiator, not the Gladius. No, it is indeed the Gladius. You can even see the little Aegis symbol. And the Gladiator is a much more boxy cockpit than the Gladius, of course. The Gladiator being the Anvil bomber. All right, next up, David Ulver. Great show, mate. Hey, thanks for watching. All right, next, Gamer Max. Why would you want to land a Hull C? Well, there were various reasons why you would want to kind of go down to a planet and just land. Maybe if you just want to stop and visit a place instead of constantly moving cargo. Or, you might have to do some repair work that might require, actually landing on a planet where they can do a much more thorough job in atmosphere. There's various reasons why you would want to land it, and just the fact that that option does exist is a cool thing and is a great feature, I think. From my point of view personally, I think that's one of the, because I wasn't all that crazy on the cargo boxes. I understand what it is, and I understand that it's a reference to shipping containers and all that. I was kind of looking for more of the classic idea of a space freighter, but when I saw that, at first I didn't like it that much, but then I thought, no, you know what, that actually does all make sense, because you might be carrying multiple cargoes for multiple destinations, and these containers have to leave here, those ones you have to leave over there, and then you have to pick up new ones over here. And so in the end, it did make sense, even though initially I didn't like it. But yeah, I kind of I've really kind of come around on that ship, and I really like the way it is now. But yeah, obviously at some point you're gonna have to land it, and deal with maintenance and all the mundane things that go along with it. All right, Mr. Vey or Marvey. Damn MFDs. I want better helmet HUDs. LOL. Technically I agree. I think that in the end most people are going to drift that way. I mean, if it's just a question of having just a certain avionics or certain package within your ship that just translates all those displays up into your helmet, I would totally go for that. Just for the sheer convenience of having it all right where you need it to be. And you know, obviously you get voice commands, you got shortcut keys. I mean, I play on a Logitech G13, so I've got no shortage of shortcut keys. So I think that overall having it up in the helmet will work out better for me in the long run. And last, Nate the Great, hashtag notification squad. Okay. Anyways, that's it. That's the show for this week. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.